We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
That happy hour hits different. OutDrank The Coverage, that's the name. For the sports, the food, the whole game. We talking touchdowns in that silver screen. The smoothest host that you ever seen. Roll through on Thursday, 5 p.m. sharp. Let the good times roll, playing that G-Funk harp. OutDrank The Coverage, yeah, that's the spot. OutDrank The Coverage, yeah, that's the spot.
It's the spot for OutDrank The Coverage. Hello, everybody. It's Terry Bennett. Terry, the host, I should say. Intern Noe, the pro, the commissioner, the championship. As this is a happy hour we kind of wasn't planning to be a true happy hour. We'll explain that here in a minute. But before we do, Intern Noe, the pro, the commissioner, the one-time champion of the OutDrank The Coverage Fantasy Football League. How are you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing well. I am drinking tequila today.
Whoa. You're always making some bad decisions tonight. I wish we were doing a fantasy draft.
As the summer approaches and it gets hotter, I like to switch it up and go to gin, vodka, tequila. But this is the Añejo, which is aged a little bit longer than the Reposado and Blanco. It's the Terramano. It's the Rocks tequila. And it's one of my four. It's one of my favorite tequilas. It's very affordable. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking today, man. How about you? How you doing? What you drinking?
I'm doing well. I'm drinking what I always drink. A little bit of vodka in your soul, a little bit of vodka in your liver, a little bit of vodka goes out your spleen, and then it's mean. Just drinking some vodka. I like you in the summer, like to drink vodka. I also like to drink vodka in the fall and in the winter, and all the other things. But I was on grandchild duty today. I was over in the other side of the Metroplex, and man, I'm tired. I came home and could have went to bed, and I was only there for like 6 hours. I guess about 6 hours, yeah. But had fun. So let's go ahead and get into what we were going to do. By the way, 1,700 people are in here. Welcome. If you'd like to chat, whatever avenue you're using to listen to or watch us, if there's a chat there, just chat. We'll see it here in our Restream studio. So originally, what we were going to do was we were going to kind of have like a 30-minute, we haven't had a happy hour in a couple weeks. And then we were going to spend the rest of that hour kind of recording a Friday Night Lights retrospective, which is going to be on the website. Actually, we're going to put it on L4, the high school website, because it's a high school show. And then, you're going to get to kind of see behind the scenes as we did that and all that. But then it's just, man, as the week went on, more and more news kept happening. I mean, this is usually supposed to be a dead time in sports, kind of. Football's just now in the OTAs. Baseball's really just getting into the grind of it. You do have the finals, hockey and NBA, but sometimes those can be almost done by now. But anyway, all that happened, so we just decided we're just going to do a whole new full-on happy hour. But before we do that, it really started with the retirement of the great quarterback, Nathan Peterman. Now, I will say this. I am about to show you his first half. It wasn't even his first game. Very notorious. He had 5 interceptions. I thought they were more terrible interceptions, if that makes sense. I'm about to play the 5 interceptions. Let me just play the 5. Now, we can't talk when we have video playing up like in this format, but let's just watch, guys and girls, if there's any girls there. Wow, 3,400. That was a jump. Y'all in the wrong room, but thanks for staying. I want you to watch. Here's all 5 of Nathan Peterman's interceptions back in 2017 as his first career start. All right. I didn't have time to load it up the way I wanted to, where we could talk through it and everything. But I honestly got to say, I mean, he was terrible. I'm not trying to, but I thought his interceptions were way worse on him. The first couple, really, the first one especially, hit off his fullback's hands. He can't catch it. It pops up in the air. The second one, he's basically getting hit as soon as he plants his foot. He underthrows the ball. Then the next three you can kind of put on him.
Yeah, especially that first one, that definitely wasn't his fault. It's just the stat line I'll always remember. But with Nathan Peterman retiring, I only remember two things. That first game, I think he had another game where it was almost just as bad. And then for some reason, John Gruden's obsession with it, he praised Nathan Peterman so much as a Raider. And I don't get it, because this is the same Nathan Peterman I've seen in almost every start. The biggest, craziest thing about Nathan Peterman is that the fact he actually has a win. It wasn't a game he finished, but it was still a win.
Well, I think Nathan Peterman is that classic. He's probably really good in the film room. Like, he probably would make a good coach. I think the problem is on the field, it didn't translate. You know how that works sometimes. Again, you and I talk about it. We can make fun of him all we want, but I've told you this many times. I go down to camp back in 94, 95. It was Jason Garrett's last year. And, we see Jason on TV and it's all little balloons and stuff. But in camp, just watching him throw, dude threw missiles until you saw Troy Aikman throw. And I think that's how Nathan Peterman is. I think he's one of those that looks good in practice, knows where the routes are, but whenever the moment hits and he has to do it, he just couldn't do it. I always love backup quarterbacks who sometimes can float the league, especially the ones that don't hardly play at all. Like Jason Garrett was a career backup, but he got multiple starts. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick we've talked about. Jameis Winston might be kind of moving into that role, things like that. But the people like Nathan Peterman and Josh Johnson, those guys who rarely even throw a ball, and yet they're millionaires based off of they just sit on the sideline well.
Yeah, and then that's just the case with him. Oh, the other game I was thinking about was 2018 when Chicago came to Buffalo. Peterman's stat line was 31 of 49, 188 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions.
Okay, this might have to work as a short. We always talk about Thanksgiving classics and all the great ones. Well, bringing up the Bears makes me think of the great Drew Henson. Was it Drew Henson or what's his name?
There was that one really good game by Chad Hutchinson.
No, I don't think it was him. It was a bad game. That was the point. It was at Thanksgiving. Drew Henson and the Cowboys have the lead, and Bill pulls him out still to start the second half. They did it winning. That was a bad Bears team, but you bring up the Bears. And I gotta remember where this is. It's nope. Well, now knowing, to be fair, those weren't really good Bills teams back then. This was This was before the beginning of the building of the. Not that would have helped Nathan Peterman, but I did want to point that out. But anyway, Nathan Peterman, vaya con Dios, enjoy your retirement and your millions of dollars. You always do that joke where Peyton Manning, for every touchdown he threw, was $3 million. Well, for Nathan Peterman, it was the opposite. For every interception he threw, it was $3 million.
You make a good point about him being a really good coach, because now we're seeing something in Philadelphia where their new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, who was a solid college quarterback, really didn't do much in the NFL, but he ended up parlaying his NFL experience into a coordinator position. And if he succeeds this year with Philadelphia, which they're historically last few years, an up and down team where one year they'll be great, one year they're okay, and they just go back and forth. This is the year they're supposed to be great. If Mannion delivers, he could be one of the top head coaching candidates in 2027.
All right, well, let's go ahead and step into the other NFL news, and that's one of them. You say it's the every other year, but the Philadelphia Eagles just lost a key part of their offensive cog as they officially have traded A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots. A lot of people are trying to make a big deal like, oh, they got a first. Yeah, they got a first next year in 2028. I mean, get a first. There's nothing wrong with that, but you just traded away a guy and you're not going to see any real payback of that until 2028. But in saying that, for the sake of Jalen Hurts, for the sake of this team, and for the sake of A.J. Brown, this move had to happen because A.J. has came out and said basically him and Jalen Hurts stopped being friends like 3 years ago. You could tell there was issues on the field. So I do think at the end of the day, this is a really good move for the Eagles. I just think people need to stop thinking that Malachi Lemon's going to step in and be A.J. Brown because he's not that type of receiver.
And historically, receivers need half a season to a full season to fully acclimate to the NFL. So I think they're going to lean more into Devontae Smith, and then probably they have 2 tight ends now. They got Dallas Goedert, and then I think Eli Stowers from the Vanderbilt Commodores. So that's just, I mean, Howie Roseman, he just somehow finds a way to replace talent with more talent.
I don't like the way this is built, though. They have no size at wide receiver. You've got a guy in Lemon who's 5'11", and Devontae Smith is 6'1", and he's a beanpole. I think, and this is, look, folks, I'm not knocking Jalen Hurts, but with how Jalen Hurts throws the ball at times, you need a big-bodied wide receiver that can go up and get it. So they can't be done yet. They've got to be out there looking for some height. Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I know they got Dontavian Wicks. I'm not sure how big he is. I know he's a former Packer wide receiver. They got Hollywood Brown, another smaller speedster. Let's see, Dontavian Wicks, 6'1", 206. So not another. Yeah, he's not a big guy either.
Smurfs 2.0.
Yeah, Smurfs. Yeah. Yeah. So with the Brown thing and him and Jalen Hurts and their issue, there's a viral rumor that really has to do with trust. I'm not going to say this is true, but I'll just go ahead and say it since it's out there on the webs. Apparently him and former edge rusher Hassan Reddick had some beef because they, and I quote, shared a massage therapist.
Oh, my God.
In 2020.
Hurts.
Hassan Reddick and A.J. Brown, the married A.J. Brown.
Okay. Yeah. Apparently they're married a massage therapist.
Yeah. So A.J. Brown didn't know about it initially, but Jalen Hurts knew about it. And the rumor is A.J. Brown got mad that Jalen Hurts, in his opinion, betrayed the trust by not telling him about him and Reddick sharing the same massage therapist. Oh, and by share, you know what I mean.
Oh, so you're saying they shared it without knowing?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was I thought like she was rubbing one calf out and then rubbing the other calf out, or maybe rubbing
which makes it even hilarious that A.J. Brown's going to the Patriots, because him and Robert Kraft probably they can work out an agreement on massage therapists, and they might share, they might recommend particular massage therapists in the greater Boston area.
Sir, Robert Kraft had more class. He only got handies.
Oh, sorry. That's just the viral rumor. But it does seem like they're not great friends. I don't think they hate each other. It's just, I think there was a trust issue. In any case, it kind of showed on the field. He was a guy that was getting 1,400 yards the first 2 seasons on the team, and then the last 2 seasons he only got 1,000. He's still a great player. He's not even 30 yet. I think he can give New England 2 to 3 really good years. He has a quarterback that's very accurate in Drake May. I like it a lot. New England has bigger issues to worry about, especially with Mike Vrabel. So just having someone like A.J. Brown there is really going to help that team. And I think A.J. Brown is going to really like Drake May.
Oh, I do too. I said it before and I'll say it again. I think the Mike Vrabel thing is way bigger on the outside than it is on the inside. I don't think any players are going to have an issue with him. I don't think, of course, Robert Kraft isn't. And I'm not even talking about what Robert Kraft did with his massage therapist. I'm just saying, that thing happens. I mean, you're literally just talking about how A.J. Brown and Hassan Reddick were sharing a massage therapist and didn't know. Folks, the NFL is rife with cheating. The NBA is rife with, all the sports are rife with cheating. So that's why I've never, other than it just being fun fodder, I never felt that the Mike Vrabel thing is going to ever blow on into the field and him be fired or anything. Unless that they start out like 0-8 and the locker room is literally saying this is an issue. And I don't think that's the case at all. They're all probably high-fiving him.
I think there'll be some issues early in the season, especially on the road games. But that'll just be external.
Having fun.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I mean, I could see them really chanting Rossini.
Oh yeah, they're going to.
Yeah, and then having photos of was it Sedona Gate. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening. But Patriots are one of those mentally tough teams. You know, Vrabel comes from, he played for Bill Belichick. In a lot of ways, he's kind of similar with the modern tweak. I think they'll be fine. It's going to be entertaining to see what the fans do.
Well, the problem is unless you're at the game, we'll never see it. You think the NFL is going to let those signs and stuff go on? They will do their darndest to they'll even pipe in sound if you start hearing chants. I guarantee you they will. You know that.
They're going to try their hardest, but it's definitely the fans are going to do something for sure.
Oh, no, it's going to be fun. All right, let's also get to, of course, the bigger deal. It's funny because everybody was waiting for AJ Day and all that, and then the Browns and the Rams said, ha, we've got something better, as the LA Rams shocked the NFL by trading for Myles Garrett in a, you can say it's a win now, but again, this guy's 30 years old. He can play, edge rushers can play longer, especially when he's going to be on a team where he's not going to have to take 45,000 snaps a game because they have an offense that can keep the defense fresh. Dude, if the Rams aren't the prohibitive favorite in the NFL, I don't know who is now.
I mean, they have to be the favorite. They addressed their one weakness in the offseason earlier by stealing the starting two cornerbacks for the Chiefs. And then now they addressed, I mean, it wasn't really a weakness, but they just upgraded what was already somewhat strong, which was their pass rush, by getting Myles Garrett. Now, you had to get rid of a young star in Jared Verse, but you get someone like Myles Garrett, who is a freak of nature. He's 30 years old, but he can definitely be this freak of nature at 34 and 35 years old. That's gonna, on paper, that looks like the best defense in football. It kind of reminds you and me of what we thought about Micah Parsons being traded last year to the Packers, when we thought, okay, all the Packers needs a pass rusher, and they're solid. And you got something. Are you just scratching yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. But like when you and I heard about that trade, we were thinking, okay, the Packers are the best defense in football. There's no way they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They were the number one team in the NFC up until Micah Parsons' injury. I don't think an injury to Myles Garrett with the Rams is going to really hurt them as much.
I mean, it would hurt because you lose him, and then you do lose Verse, who I do think is a solid pass rusher. I was trying to think about this on the drive back from my grandkids. I would compare this, if you wanted to do it, to a cowboy bubble. Verse is going to be Greg Ellis. Myles Garrett is DeMarcus Ware. I don't mean by their position, but the impact. I think Jared Verse is a very solid defensive pass rusher. I don't think he's ever going to get to 15 sacks. I don't even think he'll ever get to 13. But you can pencil him in from between 8 and 11 every year, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want that in the league. But you said it best. If Garrett gets hurt, the Rams are still okay. But wait, there might be more, as it is becoming more and more that Aaron Donald is at least thinking about possibly making a return to the Rams. And I don't care that he's been out for 2 years. In fact, that's probably just freshened that dude up. I still think the best move would be like what Rob Gronkowski did with Tampa Bay and come in like at week 8. Like I think week 9 now because of 17. There's a week that you have to finally play if you're going to play for the rest of the year, unless you're on the injured reserve. I think that's the best thing you do with Aaron Donald is you let him chill for the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and then you start bringing him back in and get him ready for the playoffs. And if that happens, dude, the Rams are going to be deadly. I mean, they're already deadly, but even I'm not going to say Chicago Bear defense because we're in a different era now, but with their corners that they got, adding Myles Garrett, if Aaron Donald comes back and you've already got a really sound linebacker core, the Rams are going to be scary good.
Yeah, because Aaron Donald's probably the greatest interior pass rusher in NFL history. And then you pair him with Myles Garrett. You can't double team them both. And if you do, you're going to get some other dude getting 10, 12 sacks because they're going to be wide open. This would be a very ideal situation for any team. These two guys are freaks of nature. One of the greatest edge rushers of all time, and one of the greatest interior rushers of all time, just teaming together. And you have two outstanding corners, which only need probably half a second of coverage. Yeah, because the quarterbacks don't have to throw the ball. Either they throw the ball in half a second, or they're going to get sacked at this rate. Because it's going to be really hard for offensive linemen to protect when you got Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett rushing at you. And now I hate the fact that this is happening because the Cowboys play the Rams later in the year when projected both guys will be starting, and Donald should be back to game condition by that point.
That's okay. That'll be December 20th. The Cowboys have already wrapped up the 1 seed at that point. For the first pick of the draft. I mean, sorry, got confused there, man. I mean, that was already going to be a slog of a schedule for the Cowboys. But speaking of, just in that stretch, listen to what the Rams have from Thanksgiving through the. We'll go to the first Seahawk game. They have, of course, on Thanksgiving or around. I think that's the day before Thanksgiving, or was that Thanksgiving night? I can't remember now. They have the Packers. Then they have
that's the first Thanksgiving Eve game.
Yeah, that's Thanksgiving Eve. That's right, because this year Thanksgiving is the 26th. I see the November 25. I always think Thanksgiving, though it's not always on there. So from Thanksgiving Eve on, they've got the Packers, the Chiefs, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, and the Seahawks at the end of the season. They get the Seahawks 2 of the last 3 weeks. If these two teams do what they did last year, you would then get 3 games between these two teams within a month and a half, basically, if they make it to the title game together.
That'll be insane. You know, with the Seahawks, I don't know what I'm going to get with that team, honestly. I think their defense is going to be just fine. I just feel that teams have to figure out a way to stop JSN on offense. I think they will. I mean, Seattle was not shying away from just throwing it to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and defenses just didn't know how to stop it. I feel like in 2026 that's going to happen, and Seattle's going to have to find alternatives.
Oh no, I think he's a top 3 wide receiver. I don't think you're ever stopping him. You're going to have games, of course, where he gets contained and all that, but I think he legitimately is a true number 1 top 3 wide receiver in the league right now because he can kind of do everything.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that Seattle was not even shying away. They were their whole game plan was to get it to him, and they were always successful. I just feel like teams would be more cautious and shifting coverage just to stop him. They might have been doing it last year, but the numbers say that wasn't working. So I don't know. A lot of that stuff kind of can be year to year. I think he is an elite wide receiver. He was, I think, the offensive player of the year last season. He's going to probably win 1 or 2 more of those before his career is over. He's young. I like him. I just think I don't know how productive he's going to be in 2026 with defenses knowing and gearing their scheme to stop him.
No, I agree with that. And I more think Sam Darnold regresses a little bit more because look, what he did in the playoffs and for the whole season, but especially in the playoffs, is what a good bus driving quarterback does. And I don't know why people get so offended by that. Even Bill Parcells is like, when I said that, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying some quarterbacks, their best ability is to manage the game. But going into the playoffs, he had committed the most turnovers in the NFL. You can't do that back-to-back years and expect to have success. And we all go back to that Minnesota Viking playoff game. And I know offensive line was hurt, but that's kind of my point. When people got into his face, he absolutely melted. I still think their biggest concern is Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just say his last 2 years can make up for his prior career. He's had 2 really good years back-to-back. It's just, is this the real Sam Darnold we're getting going forward, or is he going to regress back to what he was in his first few years in the league? We don't know yet. All right, but we do know he is a Super Bowl champion, and we can't never take that away from him.
Oh no! And again, that's people get too into. I will say this.
Well, go ahead, say your point, and then I'll ask the question.
Well, I was going to say I am getting tired of the top 10 quarterback list for 2026 coming out, and Sam Darnold's 7th or 8th. Again, just because you win a Super Bowl does not make you a top-tier quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the people who make those lists, they value those Super Bowl wins a lot more. Obviously, I would put Dak ahead of Sam Darnold, but again, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so inherently I'm biased, but I do think Dak Prescott, if he was ever available, most of the NFL would be wanting to get him, and they'll probably overpay to get him.
Oh no, I agree 100%. Now, I will say though, he needs to be better in the playoffs if we're gonna, do all that.
100% agree. 100% agree. Okay, backtrack.
All right.
We've analyzed these two trades. Let's go to the New England, Philadelphia one.
All right.
Who won that trade?
Both. I'm going to say now, both on both for all these trades. I do think I would give a slight edge to the Patriots simply because the first they give up is not even in 2027. It's in 2028. I do think that's a little bit of a back step. I honestly, especially if you think Philadelphia is going to be good and New England's going to be good, it's going to be a late first round. If I was the Eagles, I would have preferred a 2, and a 5. A 2 this year, a 2 next year, and a 5 over a 1 in 2028 and a 5 in 2027. But that's a slight, that's that trade value that Jimmy Johnson has. And then flipping over to who do you think won on that one?
I think it's just straight even, and I'm going to just simplify it and say New England won because they got their ace receiver, and he's 4 years younger than Stephon Diggs. And I think the Eagles won because they got to trade Brown before June 1st. Because I think I read somewhere if they traded him before June 1st, they would have to take the entire cap hit of over 40 million, maybe 43 million this year.
Yep.
Instead, now they can spread it over 2 years, which for Howie Roseman, that's just very advantageous. So because of those two reasons, I think it's just a complete split.
All right. So what about the Garrett to the Rams? You and I vastly disagreed on this one.
So I do think both teams did well. I think if I was grading them, I'd both give them an A. I will say I'm a guy that values draft picks. I'm going to go ahead and side with Cleveland, which the last 2 years, Andrew Berry has had a back-to-back really good off seasons.
Yeah, he's drafted well, very well.
Yeah, 2025 drafted well. He had the defensive rookie of the year, and then he got his running back for the future in Judkins. This year was a great draft. I
14 quarterbacks in one draft, though. That's the one negative is the Shador Dillon thing.
Yeah, I don't blame him for getting Shador because it was in the 5th round. You might as well get him at that point. But why get Dylan Gabriel around earlier? I understand that part, but they got a lot of talent in that draft. And then this year's draft was good. Them getting 3 draft picks and a quality Greg Ellis type defensive end and Jared Verse, they weren't going to win. They weren't going to win the division with Myles Garrett. They need a lot more on that team.
Okay,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, this is my point. Getting multiple players for your superstar defensive end, I think that's a win for Cleveland. For the Rams, it just makes that elite team already even more elite. They were a top 4 team in the NFL without Myles Garrett. Now they're just the favorites to win the Super Bowl. That is a big difference, but I'm just saying they were going to compete for years to come with or without Myles Garrett.
And they don't like first-round picks anyway. I will say this.
F them picks.
I get what you're saying, multiple draft picks, but 1 first round.
You get quality players in the 2nd and 3rd round.
But still, the Dallas Cowboys got 2 first rounds and a quality player again with the Packers. So, I mean, and who would you prefer? And I love Micah Parsons. Do not get me wrong. But if I'm picking out of the 2 all day, every day, even at their age differences, I'm taking Myles Garrett.
I think the age difference was the reason why it was a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then a player. That's my only guess on that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because even though Myles Garrett is a freak of nature, he's still 30 years old. He's going to turn 31 at the end of this year. He hasn't really had many major injury issues, but at this point in his career, you could start to see it happen. I didn't think Micah Parsons was going to get injured last year. He's 26 years old now. He's 27 this year, and he gets injured late in the season for the Packers, and he kind of crushes their entire season. They go from 1 seed to 7 seed. So yeah, there's a higher risk of injury for someone like Myles Garrett right now, but he doesn't have to be the only guy on defense making the plays. He has great cornerbacks behind him. He's going to make them even better. He's going to make that entire team even better. So I think it's a great move for the Rams, but I would say the Rams will win. And I told you this, the Rams will win if they go back to back or win at least 2 championships during Garrett's run.
I don't even think they have to win championships during Garrett's run. If they're making NFC title games and, for the next 4 or 5 years, they're at least into the second round of the playoffs and a couple of NFC title games, I think you can say, hey, because you could make the case if they don't make another Super Bowl, that Matthew Stafford only got him one Super Bowl and only one Super Bowl appearance. You can look at to me, it keeps them competitive as an upper tier team. They're so competitive now with defensive. And again, if Garrett stays healthy and all that the regime change from Stafford to if it's going to be, what's his name, the Bama quarterback, or even someone else, Ty Simpson, it's not as scary now. Because you've got a defense you can anchor. You can play ugly football if you have to. And then you've got the best offensive head coach in football outside of Andy Reid. I don't care who starts for McVay. I think they could win with him. I've been, other than the one Super Bowl where he was a little bitch, I think Sean McVay's the best overall head football coach in the NFL right now. And so, I think this sets them up for the next 5 years.
And he's only 40 years old.
I still think he's going to pull a Madden. When he's done, he's done. I don't necessarily mean he's going to go into TV, but I either see him being a lifer with the Rams or sitting down and then maybe like 10 years later coming back out of nowhere, like I got to scratch that itch. And then of course that would have been when Dallas hires him way too late and he can only win 12 games. But anyway, I want to go to something else though. With the deal with Myles Garrett, with some of the signings, we all talk about the quarterback position and the $100 million level. That's the big thing now. But I present to the court two other positions. I started with you with only one, but then I started doing research. All right, now. Hang on. Well, now, Noe, to be fair. All right, so right now, there are 16 quarterbacks that make at least $100 million. Now, in saying that, 13 of those make over $200 million. So the quarterback is still the upper level. But what might surprise you is, as of right now, there are 15 edge rushers who have contracts worth $100 million or more, with Micah Parsons, of course, leading the way, $186 million, Aiden Hutchins, $180 million. This is the crazy one. Nick Bosa is still on his $170 million deal, and you see where he's been. But also, this one shocked me. As right now, let me make sure I get the count right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 wide receivers have at least $100 million contract, including Brendan. I'm going to speed past the stadium and get a ticket 4 months later. Ayuk, who's not played since he signed the deal. And the great white hope, Alec Pierce, with a crazy $114 million contract. So, intern Noe the Pro, I ask you, is edge rusher and wide receiver now as big or needed a position in the eyes of the NFL as the quarterback?
Quarterback's still the most important position, but if you have a position that can prevent that quarterback from performing well, aka edge rusher, you got to pay them too. And for that star quarterback, if they have a favorite receiver that can get them touchdowns, you got to pay them too. So I get the growing trend of paying your wide receivers and your edge rushers more. That makes sense from the logic I just gave you.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Oh, is that the Vegas Golden Knight logo?
No, it's a new sponsor.
Well, tell me about this new sponsor.
Well, finish your thought.
That was my thing. Yeah, it's very, very simple. If you can prevent an opposing elite quarterback from killing your team, you got to pay that guy. If you have a quarterback that needs if you have a wide receiver that can make your quarterback, Sam Darnold, you got your JSN. He made Sam Darnold way good last season. I know Sam Darnold is a solid quarterback, but Sam Darnold looked great when he was throwing it to JSN. You got to pay him too.
Yeah. And again, the receiver one, though, it feels like that's the one that's going to be churned in 2 years no matter what, or 3 years. Like, edge rushers tend to stay. I mean, I know Nick Bosa, but I think Bosa's also just been beat up. Like, think about what you want as him as a player, as a person, all the political stuff. But when he was healthy, he was 2021 Nick Bosa, oh my God, they were scary to watch.
Yeah, they're very scary to watch. On the wide receiver side, I know why you brought it up. Not even really because of Drake London's big contract. He's a true wide receiver.
I didn't even count him. I didn't even have him on the list.
Oh yeah, I think it was a 4-year. I think $141 million.
And Christian Watson.
That's the one, because he's the guy that's been in and out of that lineup for the Packers, and he's been injured a lot. But he's young, he's big, he has a lot of talent. I think they gave him a 3 or 4 year contract for like $111 million. When he's on the field and healthy, he's a game changer for that Packer offense. So I understand it. But yeah, this kind of shows the growing trend. Now, this might trickle into tight ends, because I just heard that Darnell Washington, 6'7", 300-pound tight end for the Steelers, wasn't even a starter. He got a 4-year, $42 million contract from the Steelers.
With Pittsburgh and just doling out tight end. I mean, Arthur Smith's not even there anymore. Though Mike McCarthy does love to use the tight end as well. Let's remember that. Like, that's a big thing for him and his offense. All right, real quick. We do want to welcome our new sponsor. Now, of course, we will eventually have a ad, but he just signed on at the end of the beginning of the week, and that is Everlift Garage. Look, the reason I love this guy's story, first off, I want to show a couple things. This is his website, and you can see down there, you go to everliftgaragerepair.com, and one of the great things about this is a guy, Johnny, who started his business because when he was a kid, where he lived, they had a garage door malfunction, and it basically cost his mom like a couple $1,000s when she didn't have the money, but she had to make the payment, and it just, and in that moment he decided that he wanted to be able to help people by giving them quality garage repairs and installations with 24/7 emergency service, same day appointments, free estimates. But what I think is really cool is, and he didn't even tell me about this, I saw this on his website, he has a senior tune-up and safety check where if you're a senior citizen, he will come out to you, he will make sure everything looks good, he'll make sure everything's working. If he needs to lubricate or tighten anything, if he needs to make a roller swap, any of that kind of stuff, he will do it for $49. Now, normally this visit is $139, and again, that goes back to his belief system, and like, you can be someone that helps people and make a career out of it, but you don't have to just squeeze the mighty dollar out of him. Also, I thought this was cool. Check this out. You hit this button if you do not speak English, you speak Spanish, and boom. I'm going to ask you in turn, know the pro. What sounds better? Fast, honest, local, or rapido, honesto, local? I kind of like that one better. And you're drinking tequila.
I like that local is the same in both English.
Our stupid United States, man. They're like, shouldn't that be like loco?
I love the logo. Like, as soon as I looked at it, I was thinking, is that the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah,
they're in the Stanley Cup Finals right now. So, but yeah, this is awesome, man. I might actually use their service.
No, I think the logo is awesome. We'll have it up there. But if you want to give him a call, 469-209-1863. Again, I got to go to English on the rest of this. Again, 24/7 emergency service, same day appointments, free estimates, bilingual service, family owned and operated. He's licensed, he's insured, he's bonded, he's all that. Go to everliftgaragerepair.com. His stuff will be on our down below here for the next few segments. And by the time we do our next show, we'll have a good and proper commercial for him. But we do appreciate Johnny and Everlift Garage being on our show as a sponsor for the off season and into the football season too. So we do appreciate that. But anyway, all right. Any other NFL stuff you want? Oh, OTA started. We get all the stupid posts in all the pages. Oh, Jalen Hurts in OTA today threw 4 interceptions, and like half the quarterbacks that are established are barely there in OTAs. Like, they're just throwing about 10 passes. It's like Charlie Sheen in Major League 2 when he's gotten real big. Have you seen Major League 2 before?
Yeah.
You remember when he's, at the beginning of camp, he's all fancy now, and so he goes to warm up for the first time. He throws 2 pitches. You're like, all right, I'm done. But OTAs are always fun for me until I remember a certain Sean Lee incident. Remember, he tore a knee at OTAs. But I always love OTAs because it's like the front door to the NFL season that's about to happen.
Yeah, it's kind of gets us excited again because we kind of been missing football. We've been trying to pass the time with off the field drama with Mike Vrabel, free agency, draft. We really just want to see players play. So yeah, this is kind of like the nice little start. And then players like George Pickens not showing up to OTAs kind of start some drama. There's a hand raised. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Coach. Okay, here's the thing. When you have a guy on a tag, you don't want him into OTAs. You don't really want him into camp. Neither side. You never want an injury, don't get me wrong, but especially on a tag year because that's a deciding year possibly. And so people want to try. Very rarely do tag players go to OTAs, whether they've signed the tag or not, because it just doesn't make sense. And you don't need Pickens there. He knows the offense. He's been there. Him and Dak will throw on the side. They're fine with that. But yeah, just for the fun, little drama. We don't want no drama. Speaking of, how quick is the Diana Rossini MAGA turn?
I don't know about this.
Well, I'm saying disgraced, sexual, blah blah blah. Probably lost her. I mean, I don't know how she gets a credible NFL job again or any media job. So there's a grifting space. So how long does the grifting space begin?
Right before the NFL season starts.
Oh, MAGA football. You called it MAGA football with Rossini. I don't even know if she's MAGA. That's just how this seems like how that kind of stuff kind of works.
You're still not over Michelle Tafoya's turn,
dude. I always liked her. That smoky voice, and that pretty hair, and then she just, dude, when she punted right. I mean, it looked worse than a Mike Vanderjagt kick to the right. It just like that. I still always remember when that kick he missed with the Cowboys like that, when I was like, oh, this was a terrible signing. Drunk, stupid kicker, as Peyton Manning said famously.
You brought up Brandon Ayuk, but we didn't talk about his arrest warrant.
Okay, I said Brandon drive by the stadium. So Brandon Ayuk has an arrest warrant. Which I kind of find like this is a little goofy. By both sides. So apparently Brandon Ayuk was on Instagram or something, and it showed him like driving by Levi Stadium, and he sped up like, I'm out. And apparently he went over the 40-mile-per-hour sign. I don't think this wasn't during a game or anything that I know of. Maybe it was. It was in December. I might be missing that part. But the point is then months later, San Francisco police, or no, I guess it wouldn't be San Francisco, it's Santa Clara. Santa Clara police issue an arrest warrant for speed. Like, that feels petty. Like, really? You can't just mail him a ticket like everybody else does?
Yeah, I think whoever issued that is a 49er fan, and they're just pissed off. Yeah, that they gave this guy this big contract, and he's not even showing up on the field. Like, he's not tradable because no team is going to trust this guy. I don't think Brandon Ayuk's ever going to play again.
What is that? What's going on with you? Like, there's been nothing.
It could be his environment. He might have a friend that he trusts that's giving him bad advice.
Okay. Why do we immediately assume it's a negative? Maybe he just doesn't want to play football anymore. And it's not right that he grabbed. I say grab the bag. He won't get any of the contract. They will ask for the bonus back. I don't even know if they cut the bonus yet. But we always assume it's a bet. Maybe he just doesn't want to play football anymore.
Because I remember Dave Chappelle, after 2 seasons of the Chappelle Show, the network Comedy Central gave him a 2-year, $50 million contract. He bounced.
Well, so when he came back, though, he did open up. I love when we go pop culture. He did say it wasn't just that. It was also that basically, I guess, and again, this is his words, they gave him the contract, they gave him the money, and then like 6 months later, they start saying, okay, now that we've given you the money, we want to do this and this and this. And they got into his, as he said, got into his hair about his show. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, the old story was he basically just kind of was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and went to Africa.
Yeah, because he kind of built that into the end of that last season where he just said he was burnt out. He was just basically had a skit where he was talking to the network about him working a lot and it's just too much. I thought that was the reason he just couldn't do it anymore, because it was a lot of pressure and he was working so many hours. He didn't have the good work family time,
Yeah.
So that's what I interpreted from it. But if that's the case,
a little bit of both.
If they're trying to cut into his creative freedom, then I can understand why he would walk away. No matter the money, he's just not going to be Dave Chappelle. It's just going to be watered down Dave Chappelle.
Well, and and I know he had a team of writers, but what him and then like Jordan and Peele did that I think so is impressive is, and they weren't live, but they basically did weekly skits with half the writers that like Saturday Night Live has. Like Saturday Night Live, and I know they have a 7-day run up and they have to do it live, but they can at times have 20, 25 writers working in on it. Jordan and Peele, and Jordan and Peele talked about like, yeah, they were friends, but just that being in that environment kind of burnt them out of each other for a while. That's why they had to kind of not talk. They didn't hate each other. They weren't mad, but they just didn't want to be around each other. I always joke. It's the same thing. I joke with you and Grant. Me and Grant once, like you and I hang out every week for football, but it's a little different because we're usually at each other's house or we're online. Me and Grant every Tuesday are together. And then most Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays we're together. And so when the football season ends, we don't hate each other, but we can go for a month or so without really seeing each other, just email, how you doing, everything great and stuff. So I get how he could be burnt out, and Jordan and Peele were burnt out.
Yeah, again, they're friends. It's just they met on Mad TV, and I love one of my favorite shows, and they just kind of continue their own show. I'm starting to see if we had any chats. I thought I saw. Oh, we do have some people on the chat.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even notice.
Let's see, Gary Randall. Nice seeing you, Gary.
Yeah, he came. Well, who came back and started farming? Was you hear about Dave Chappelle?
I guess so.
I don't know. Gary says, I miss Key and Peele. I do too. Key and Peele was, I think, more iconic and better overall than Dave Chappelle. And I love the Dave Chappelle show. But I just think Jordan and Peele, I mean, I'm not saying every skit hit, but damn, it seems like every skit hit. One of my favorites is the zombie one where they're in a nice neighborhood and they're like, basically like, are you gonna bite me? And like, no, because they're black. The white zombie's not gonna bite them, and so they end up going into this backyard. It's a bunch of black guys partying, and they're all having fun because none of the zombies will come to them just because they're black. I mean, that's subtle humor that wasn't always subtle, but it still was subtle. And I mean, geez, man, they were just hilarious. Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think Chappelle did come back, start farming. Man, he's gone boomer comedy with some of his stuff. I think that's just something you have to realize. Comedians in their 20s are not the same people as they are in their 50s. The money, look at Bill Burr. I mean, Bill Burr was the champion of the everyday man until he went to Saudi Arabia and took a ton of money. You look at Louis C.K. Well, I guess he had some other problems, but even he's kind of become very boomer with his comedy.
Yeah, it just happens. I think most of these comedians, because life happens and things change and the world changes. So some of their beliefs don't aligned with how they grew up 20, 30 years ago, but now they don't align in 2026. It happens. It happens to almost every comedian. Dude, right. I got a gripe with you, man.
Me?
Yeah.
What?
You and your obsession with AI.
What? Oh yeah, I forgot we were supposed to do that. Hang on. Okay, it's actually started as fun. Okay, I will say this. This is the first one I made that we really did. I like that one. That fits. Other than it says sports, food, movies, and booze. But it's got our shirts. It looks like an action film. So I would rate that one out of 10. I'd rate that a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10, I guess. We look very good.
Point.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what else is like. There was one I thought you were gonna show earlier. It looked like we were on GLP-1. Yes, this one.
Yeah, this one.
It looks like we're on Ozempic or GLP-1 in here.
Well, my favorite is it okay? So the shirt you're wearing is from Roadhouse. We got those for the Roadhouse show. I have the Be Nice one with Patrick Swayze. I gave you that one, and on the shirt it says Double Deuce, a jazz music bar. I just love Double Deuce at a music bar. So Double Deuce. So you're taking double-decker deuces at a music bar in Jasper, Missouri. I love my Utah. ... Get me too with no context. I'm drinking beer. You're drinking whiskey. I will admit. Go ahead.
You drinking beer is the funniest part of all this.
Oh, yeah, because I don't drink beer. Oh, but you know what? Me and Studio Wife had last Sunday just for shits and giggles. A buzzball.
A bars ball?
Buzzball.
Oh, buzzball. Okay.
Yeah, the buzzball. You know the buzzballs, right?
I think I've seen them at the store, but
yeah. Dude, buzzball. Like they're almost as iconic as that stuff that what was that a few years ago, Loco? Like, hang on.
4 logos?
I can't believe you don't remember Buzz Balls. Like, they're huge. This is a big one. Well, hang on. It says product unavailable.
Big balls? Huge
Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, balls.
Big Buzz balls. Okay. Got
Oh, no, they have them in different sizes.
Sure. Fun size, big size,
You
girthy
know,
size.
man.
Got it.
Hang on. Let me show you. This is why I love these shows. We have really nothing going on. We can just talk about what we want. You really don't remember these? I mean, they're still around.
No, I know what they were. I didn't hear you the first time, and then when you said it the second time, I heard you.
So we got a pina colada one and a chocolate one. Chocolate one, very nice. Like it had a really good flavor. Anyway, so let's go back to this one. I will say this. I do like the logo to the right. Our banner logo changed up to where it's the 2 beers, a mic, and it actually says sports. It says sports, food, movies, and booze. It says it right. And I do actually like all the different sports logos.
I like that too. I just feel the only thing is a very small gripe is the fact that, okay, I do drink beer when I go out.
Yeah.
When I'm at home.
Yeah, you really do.
So yeah, I'm going to choose what I would rather prefer to drink, which would be whiskey or some type of alcohol. But outside of that, yeah, I like that logo.
I don't like how that AI of me makes me look so big right there. Like that makes me look 20 pounds heavier than I really am. I don't like that.
This one? Hey, shut up.
I give this one
GLP-1 and chill. Barry Bennett.
I give this one a 3 out of 10. But it was so funny when it came together. So that's what we're gonna do every happy hour. I'm gonna create a new AI for us to see what it does.
You should do the mean one next time.
Oh, that's gonna be on the Friday Night Lights one. So that was the one I had created for the Friday Night Lights when we thought we were gonna do some Friday Night Lights talk tonight, and I'll have to find it. I'll have to post it. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, you and I look like we're ready to fight. Like I don't know. I guess we have our differences about Friday Night Lights, the show.
Yeah, definitely not about color.
I will say this just a little bit into the Friday Night Lights thing. I want to say this. I knew it would, but I'm even shockingly more shocked how well everything has stood the test of time. And in some of the things is even bigger now, like transfers of players in high school, and even just how the booster club game can be really crappy, and just all that. The politics of Friday Night Lights stands the test of time. And I know that I think some people said they'd like to see it brought back. I don't think you need to bring it back. I think that era is just as good now.
Yeah, the only reason why I would say bring it back is so you can update it with social media and just really emphasize how important that is to current culture in general. But yeah, so the first season was 2006. It was a year after Hurricane Katrina. They had a transfer from Louisiana named Voodoo Tatum. That was kind of what Terry was alluding to. I mean, it's just kind of a little preview for our future show. Again, that we were going to do today, but because of Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown, we couldn't do it.
Things are about to go up.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. We're going to analyze every season. We're going to start with season 1, and we'll record that pretty soon. Please, sports, don't release anything of significant news.
Maybe we need to record it the day before or the day after the All-Star break, because that historically is the biggest non-sports couple days because nothing is being played, camps haven't started, all that. But I will say this though, the social media thing later in the show, it does pop up. Because you got to remember, this show ran 5 or 6 seasons. So by 2011, there's a couple episodes or storylines that have to do with some Facebook posts. And no, it's not like it is now. This is before true social media. But even then, it still was ahead of its time. All right, where do you want to go next?
So you brought up the All-Star break. Let's talk about baseball. I'm kind of worried, man. Or do you think we're going to actually go into a strike?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to strike.
Because I remember 94 and what it did. We did a show on it.
Yeah.
And I was so sad. As a kid, it was my second year watching sports in general. And Matt Williams was chasing the home run record. The Montreal Expos were one of the greatest teams of all time. The Yankees finally figured out Don Mattingly might actually get to the playoffs for the first time.
Rangers might have got to the playoffs for the first time with a losing record.
Yeah, Rangers at 75 wins. If they finished, I think that was their projection. They would have been the first and only division winner to ever have a losing record. Even to this day in 2026, that would have been the case. There were so many good things that happened during that season. The Kenny Rogers perfect game. Do you think? Do you really think it's going to happen? And will it happen this season?
Oh, I think it's 70% chance there's a strike or a lockout. I should say lockout. And the reason why is, and for anybody that watches this live or watches it later or watches this when we put it in the short and y'all say, well, they make too much money. That's what everybody was saying in 94. Oh, no, there's way too much money in this. These people aren't going to shut it. Yeah, they are. And the owners lost. They're not going to lose. They will go down in flames just to get a salary cap because that's what they think is going to fix baseball. A sport, might I remind you, that over the last 30 years, 26 teams out of 32 teams have made a World Series. There is no other league that has that big of competition. But everybody's pointing at the Dodgers now and their payroll, and they're circling it and saying, see, that's why we need a salary cap. Salary cap, the competition level is not because of that. I think there should be a salary floor. I don't care if there's a cap. I don't care what people make playing sports. That concerns me none unless there is a cap, and how will that fit? How can my team fit these players in that cap and make it work? That's all I care about. I am not one of these that's ever going to say, person A makes too much money, because as long as someone's willing to pay them that money, that is the market. So I just think baseball is going to, once again, cut its nose off to spite its face. I hope I'm wrong.
I really love your comment about salary floor, because it'll force teams like Pittsburgh, who notoriously makes a profit but does not care about having sustained success on the field.
Yep.
Tampa figures out a way to, they're one of the best teams in baseball again, somehow, some way. But yeah, teams like that are forced to pay more money to the players. I kind of like that. Or Miami, another team. They're kind of they're better than they were. They just have a lot of young players. You just know that in 2 years, all those guys are going to be gone. I will say this. You want to fix baseball? Get baseball out of Miami. Get baseball out of Miami. Miami, I know they've won 2 random World Series because, again, they front-loaded payrolls. They made all these trades, and then as soon as they won, they dumped the team. They've been competitive a few times, but that area just does not sustain baseball. And for people to say, well, get rid of Tampa Bay. No, move Tampa Bay from where they're at. People need to understand and research where that stadium is in regards to Tampa. It's extremely hard to get to in a senior citizen area. If they would move it to like downtown Tampa or somewhere like that, with this consistent success they have, I think you would see a bigger crowd. But yeah, seriously. And by the way, I think it's so weird that the Athletics are just the Athletics. They have jerseys that say Sacramento. Just call them the Sacramento A's. Of course, the A's are going to Vegas. Well, are the A's going to Vegas? I don't. Yeah, in 2028. That's why they've been building. They've been building this team toward that.
I know, but like, that's not all 100% yet. Like, it just, I don't know. I could just end up seeing the A's ended up not being in Vegas, but I definitely do think they need to get a team out of Miami, put them somewhere else. And I know they want to expand. Okay, it'd be Nashville, and I don't know. Portland would be a good spot. Portland is a really rabid baseball fan, but I don't know if Seattle would allow that, because people don't understand. Teams have these things called territorial rights where they can kind of say no. That's why you'll never see a team in San Antonio or Austin in the NFL, because there's no way Jerry Jones would allow it.
I mean, think about 1960, Washington, name redacted. They didn't want a team. They didn't want a football team in Dallas, but Dallas forced it.
And how did they force it?
I believe they stole Washington's fight song.
They didn't steal it. They outright.
They own the rights to it.
So what happened? What happened was, At the same time that the Washington owner was fighting with the NFL about getting a team in Dallas, he was fighting with the band. If you don't remember, Washington famously had a band. They had a song, Hail to the Redacted. It actually should be just their name, the Washington Redacted. See, if Daniel Snyder was the big asshole that everybody thinks he would have, that would have been the team name, the Washington Redacted. But so they had a Hail to the Redskins, but he was fighting with the band. So the band leader calls up Clint Murchison for the Cowboys or the Dallas team that's wanted to be in the league and said, hey, I'll sell you the rights to this song. And so he went to Washington and said, well, we're going to be a team in the NFL. And they said no, and he gave him the song. He said, here's the song. You want it back? You give me the right. You give me the territorial rights, which I think everybody, and I know NFL fans now, but especially Washington would say that was the greatest thing we did because that just birthed a rivalry from day one. You know, that was always fun. But anyway, going back to the baseball. So, no, I do think there's going to be a strike. Or I keep saying a strike. A lockout. I do think the owners will lock them out. But let's talk about the season. Because, man, I don't know if the AL is bad or just all at the same level. Because when you look at the AL, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams over 500 right now. 5. NL has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, with 2 other teams basically 1 win away from being 500. And on top of that, 3 of those teams are winning over 600. Now, that tells me 2 things. There's a have and a have not in the NL that's pretty bad, and it is. And I think the AL is not as good as the NL in total, but I think the AL is more competitive.
Yes, I think the AL is more competitive. But I will say that we still don't know what these teams are going to be by August or September. And I don't know why. It's been taking a lot longer for these teams to kind of feel each other out. White Sox, they're going to miss Murakami for a while, but they've been doing really well. Athletics, that was a team I was thinking is going to get to about 85 wins this year. I feel like by the time they get to Vegas, they're going to be a 90 to 95 win team. They've been building. They just need to improve their pitching. They just need to have mid pitching, and they'll be a 95 win team. They have the offense for it.
Now, right now in interleague play, the National League does lead 480 to 447, a 518 clip. They scored, where's the averages? I guess they don't have averages. They scored 4,200 runs in those games compared to the AL's 4,000. So 200 more runs in what, a 36 game difference, a 33 game difference. They've had 1,000. Well, actually, the AL's actually had more home runs by 1. The NL's had 1,003 home runs. AL's had 1,004 home runs. So
I'm shocked by Atlanta and Tampa's performance. Really, Atlanta too, because they did so bad last year, and I think they're just healthy. They're healthy, and they're getting complimentary effort from everybody on that team.
And again, that Atlanta team without injuries is still pretty salty. Look, Tampa just does this, man. The problem is Tampa just, and it's weird because when you think of Tampa, you think of pitching, but for some reason, they're never built for the playoffs. Or they always seem to. Well, I mean, Texas has knocked them out 3 times, in the last 15 years. But they always do seem in the first round to get the hottest team in the league possible. Even though every time Tampa will be hosting, it'll be it's a wild card team, but that's the toughest wild card team that's played in 20 years. It's crazy how Tampa just has that bad luck outside of the one World Series appearance.
Well, 2 really. Well, I guess you can count. You can discredit 2020 because.
Oh, no, I forget about 20. No, I don't do that. Every team played in the same rules. I don't get. We've had this conversation before. Not that you disagreed, but that's a big thing people like to bring up. Well, until the Dodgers finally won a World Series in a regular thing, because up until 2020 they were the team that kept choking and choking and choking. But them and LeBron, whoever, Tampa Bay Lightning. It's funny, nobody ever says that about the Lightning because they were a great team, but nobody ever says, well, they only won because they were in the bubble. Well, no, everybody was in the bubble. I don't discredit. I just honestly forgot they made it in 2020.
Yeah, I remember 2020 and then 08.
08, I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That was a great one. That's back when we thought, man, The Phillies might be going to the World Series like 6 or 7 times in the next 15 years.
Because they had like kind of like Oklahoma City Thunder. They had the right mix of youth and veterans, and you thought that they were just going to dominate the baseball for the next 5 years, but ended up being where I think the next year they made it to the World Series and lost to the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. That's the last Yankee win.
I think the following year they lost in the NLCS to the 49ers, the Giants.
We beat the Rangers.
Yeah. So it just kind of slowly whittled themselves down. And then by 2011, they just got old.
Yeah, well, and like Jimmy Rollins fell off a cliff, Scott Rowland fell off a cliff. But again, age-wise, nothing you can do about that. Speaking of the NBA and the Thunder, the NBA championship game 1 was last night. The New York Knicks and all of New York had one of those holy crap, did this really happen, as Brunson early on was shaken up. I legitimately oh my God, how many times have we seen this? A guy carrying a team to a championship. It'd have been like if Dirk would have got hurt in game 1 in 2011. But he came back, 31 points. And I don't think they shocked the Spurs, because I think the Knicks win this title this year.
And we had recent experience with this, because last year in Game 7 in the first half, Tyrese Halliburton tore his ACL,
and that changed everything. That was so sad.
Yeah, they had one of the worst records this year, but because of a trade they made with the Clippers, they're not even going to get the benefit of that draft pick this upcoming season. At least they'll get Halliburton, and they'll be competitive again. But yeah, I was kind of worried, because you and I are Mavericks fans, and we're rooting for Brunson to do well and win a championship. Not many teams have won a championship with a guy his size, so it'd be kind of cool to actually see it happen. And he has a great complementary team around him. He has Karl Anthony Towns, as OG, a new boy, I think. I can't pronounce.
No, he played football, dude. Jeez.
Man, Gary's on a roll today.
And I want to say this, for all those that said, well, he should have been a Maverick. Look, once he had the big year, he was always going to New York. That's where his dad was. The only way the Mavericks would have been able to keep him if they would have made that lucky gamble the year before, when he didn't. And that sounds great on paper, but when that doesn't work, how many times? It's funny, Jerry Jones, he always gets he either signs them too early or he signs them too late, because if it works, you never complain about when you signed them. And with Brunson, unless they would have done it immediately, like before he had the big year, once he had the big year, he was always going to New York.
Thank you, Gary, OG, and Anobi. Yeah, I agree with you, Terry. There's a meme where they show Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Brunson, and Luka all on the same roster. And all three of them have made the NBA Finals. Luka made it with the Mavericks, Porzingis made it with the Celtics, and now Brunson made it with the Knicks. I told you going to the playoffs, I thought the Knicks could probably get it to the finals. It was going to be tough, but I think they could. He just has a good complementary roster. And I like what Mike Brown has done with the Knicks this season. He's a different coach than Tom Thibodeau. And he kind of got shafted with the Kings. But I like what Mike Brown's been doing. I hope he does get to win. It'll be a good feather on the cap to his, I think, a really solid NBA coaching career.
Speaking of pointing it back again, if you're catching us, there's 4,900 in here. And I know not all of you are from Texas, but we are a show based in Dallas, and we talk Texas first and then out. Have the Mavericks fumbled the Jason Kidd thing? Because one of the guys that a lot of people thought they would want has already been hired. The 76ers have basically already said you can't talk to Nick Nurse. I don't even know if they could sign Nick Nurse, because they'd probably have to trade draft picks that they don't have. So, I mean, who are the Mavericks? Billy Donovan?
Yeah, brought him up in our conversations. I wouldn't mind it. He just had he had a great college career. He had a great start with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I would like Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the front office. Again, I think you might, if he's under contract, you might have to even offer draft picks, and they don't have any. I mean, this is it for the last, 4 years after this draft?
Okay.
Yeah, this is their last. This is their last first round until 4 years. That's why everybody was like, "Man, if they can hit in the top 3 again," and they didn't. But that's why it's not. I mean, you can still find someone, but they were,
So it was never going to work with Kidd and Ujiri because Kidd wanted his job, and once he didn't get it, I already knew once he didn't get that job, him and Ujiri, they were never going to mesh together, GM and head coach. I like Jason Kidd as a head coach. I think he was just kind of screwed this year. He's kind of been screwed since that NBA Finals appearance 2 years ago. A lot of his players, a lot of the guys that made up that roster are gone. I think all of them are gone, actually.
I think he had more say in the Luka than he lets on, though. And I'm not, again, I don't know if, I will say it. I know, again, the problem wasn't the trade for me. It's what you got back. And some of the things that everybody worried about with Luka, even though he had a great year this year, once again, the Lakers, they're out. But I think Kidd had some issues with Luka, right or wrong, and I think he tried to dodge that after everything. And also apparently him and what's his name, I think they had some issues in Brooklyn or something. I just don't think it was ever going to work. And like you said, especially him trying to go for his position and not getting it. What's his name? The defensive coordinator for the Browns last year, Jim Schwartz. He said the same thing this week. Said basically like, look, nothing against them, but it was never going to work. Once you don't hire me as a head coach, why would I come back as a defensive coordinator when I feel my side of the ball was the only bright spot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then you don't hire me? Why would I come back at the same position? So I get Kidd. I just worry that the Mavericks, the Mavericks have been really lucky over the last run since Don Nelson of having good quality coaches. And I fear that might not be the case now.
Yeah, and the question is who's available because, I almost kind of hope they go for that Bucks guy. I think I told you about him, the one that got replaced by Doc Rivers. Yeah, I feel like he didn't even get a full season, and I think there were 20 games over 500 when the Bucks fired him, and then Doc Rivers just took them to shit.
Yeah, didn't him and didn't that other coach? I'm trying to think of his name. What's his name? Oh, Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, Adrian Griffin. Okay.
Wait, he's not the one that won the title, is it?
No. It was Budenholtz.
Yeah, Budenholtz.
Yeah, Coach Bud. We'll just call him Coach Bud. Yeah, Budenholtz. He was a defensive-oriented team or coach, and he had a lot of good defensive players around it. Gary's kind of alluding to something in our chat, kind of like the Dirk situation. He says Luka needs to be surrounded by defenders and a center that can play. That's basically what Dirk had in 2011 when he had Tyson Chandler at center. And he had great defenders around him: Sean Marion, Deshaun Stevenson, Jason Kidd. I agree. Luka does need something like that, more of a complete team to complement his skill set.
I want Adrian Griffin. By the way, the Bucks, we all can talk about Mark Cuban fumbling the championship or the years after with a championship with Dirk and that team. I won't defend him in that it didn't work, but he at least thought he had it figured out with when the lockout was going to happen and how he thought the cap was going to change completely. And he thought he was going to get out ahead of it. And then they ended up kind of agreeing on the same deal and it didn't work. But the Bucks fired the dude that won him a title the next year. Then fire Adrian Griffin, even though he was 30-13. I mean, what is going on with the Buccaneers? The Bucks and who they hire. I would like Adrian Griffin, former Maverick.
As I remember, I believe it was because they knew they were going to take a step back defensively because he's an offensive-minded head coach. But they felt that they took too many steps back defensively.
Well, and also he's the one that apparently the locker room didn't like it. But I think a lot of that was they were still mad that Bud had gotten let go.
It was shortly after he got them a championship, like you were mentioning. Now, when you had said that, it reminded me of the Denver Nuggets coach that got fired because he's an alleged hard ass on his players. But I think Mike Malone.
Yeah, Mike Malone.
He was effective. He got them to a championship. But with someone his style, it's going to wear off in the pro level. So I kind of like that North Carolina picked him up because I think in the college level, you can deal with him for a year or two. You just need him to recruit the superstar. The superstar is only going to stay there a year. the superstar will be fine with 1 year of him, and he's going to push them to be the best player possible.
Yeah.
So I kind of like Mike Malone at the college level. If he eases it up, I would love him as a Mavericks head coach for sure.
He's not leaving UNC for a pro job.
Yeah.
I mean, NC, you win 25, especially now that they've kind of fallen. You win 25 and you go 3 rounds, make a Final Four. You're making $10 million a year, and you're not even having to really recruit. I just worry that the Mavericks back themselves into a hole.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I heard the rumor that Mark Cuban wants to attempt to buy back the team.
Yeah, but he's already said he can't. Adelson's already said they're going to keep him. They have no reason to sell back.
They really don't. You know, with the news that the Mavericks are moving to Valley View Mall, which is about 12 miles north of the AAC, the Stars moving to kind of about where I live at Willow Bend Mall.
We walk to it once they build the stadium and how they're going to. In fact, I'll tell you, do what the people around the Rangers do: sell parking at your house.
Yeah, I mean, my driveway can fit 4. So
that's what I'm saying. And then you can also park 4 in your driveway. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, let's go ahead and kind of transition to that again on the Texas side. It was announced back-to-back days. The Mavericks are moving. Look, where the Mavericks are moving is going to be interesting because that area, that's a crappy area traffic-wise. And you're about to throw a big old casino eventually, they hope, but mainly a stadium, hotel, casino right there. I mean, oh my goodness. I got to admit, I don't get moving to that area. That's not North Dallas. I mean, I know technically it is, but in today's world, that's not North Dallas anymore. That's not downtown Dallas. That's in that Gaza Strip in between that. I don't know. It'll work.
Gaza Strip?
Okay. So when I say Gaza Strip, I mainly mean it as a buffer area. It's an area that's not here. It's not here. It's just kind of a dead land in between. And that's what that area is. I mean, you used to work down there. That area now is a dead area, not traffic wise, but like, I don't know. I just think that's going to be hell for the Stars. I like to move. I know there's a lot of Fort Worth fans that are mad, but guess what? If the Stars would have moved to Arlington, there'd have been a lot of North Dallas fans of the Stars that have been mad. And so, you know, it just, I don't know. I like where the Stars are moving. I don't like where the Mavs are running. But in saying all that, dude, we're 6 years away from that. Like, none of this can happen until 30-32. So a lot of people getting all in a puff. It wouldn't shock me if the Mavericks place ends up changing too. Until they break ground, anything can always happen.
Gary is killing it in the comments. He's saying South Oklahoma is worse than the Gaza Strip.
He said, I played for Mike. I just read it popping up here.
Oh, yeah. I played for Mike Sherman at A&M, and young players don't respond to coaches that are super strict. It's much harder balancing act at the college level. You can only be a hard ass if the players believe you're hard ass. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and you brought the comparison: Signetti with Indiana, Nick Saban with Alabama. If you can get a championship, players will listen.
I will disagree with him that it's harder at the college level because, like you said, at the pro level, you're going to have to be. I mean, Jimmy Johnson said it best. For all the talk about him and Jerry Jones, for all the talk about 500 coaches and the battle behind the scenes, Jimmy Johnson has said many times over, even in college, I am a builder, not a sustainer. I can build a program up. I can use the psychological tactics. I can do all that. But it wears me down to always be the bad guy. It wears me down to always have to be the guy that says, yeah, that's great, you won, but. And then you even hear Troy Aikman, who we all know how he feels about Barry Switzer. He even admitted, though, I don't know if we win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson the next year either, like everybody assumes, because everybody had gotten burnt out on the Jimmy Johnson method. And it's really hard in the pros if you're a hard ass who plays all the hard ass mind games to do that when you've got a guy that's going to be playing for you for 6 or 7 years. At college, as you said, you're always cycling guys out. You can always, hey, he loved it his freshman and sophomore year, started wearing down on him his junior year, but he finished out his senior year, all right, gone. Now I got a new guy I can do all the same things with. So I do think it's easier to do that once you're proven. I do agree with Gary saying you have to prove it, but once you're proven, I think it's easier to be a hard ass at the college level.
See.
And you have more control over them. I mean, like at the pro level, these guys, most of the time, even if you're a high level coach, the superstars are making more money than you.
World Cup.
And then
Who do you think's going to win?
US. No, dude, you and I, we were joking about this, man. If you'd have told me back in, what was it, 2012, 2014, what was the World Cup that me and you, like, we went to
Yeah, so in 2014, there was the announcement that Qatar was going to host the 2022 World Cup. And then you and I were like, 100% that ain't going to happen. Let's put $5 into a PayPal each month. And by the time they switch it to the US, which is what we thought was going to happen, we'd have enough money to just get some tickets.
I don't even remember that World Cup because it was in the middle of football season. And in fact, that's probably the World Cup that I completely ended up going out on because it was in the middle of the football season. And not because I chose it, but I mean, my job is football. I'm doing that 90% of the time. You know, unless it's like when the Rangers were in the World Series, even the World Series stuff, I barely pay attention to. I barely pay attention to the start of hockey, barely pay attention to the start of basketball because I have to focus on football. But man, what I was going to say though, if you told me in 2014 that in 2026 the United States would host or be a partial host of the World Cup, and that me and you would give two Fs about it, because we literally went to a different place in 2014 for every U.S. game that month. And we had watching parties and people took off work and all that. Now I'm like, I had to ask you, like, wait, who? And I'm surprised. I literally only got lucky because I just picked the three teams that you always think of right now: Spain, UK, and France. And then you added Germany. I do think Germany's a little down this year. And then Brazil, I still think they're a little down, but you're right. They're kind of gotten back into that supposed Brazilian flair football and stuff. I hate to say it. I don't care. Like, even if the U.S. were to make their run and win a World Cup, I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't watch if it was them, but I football had me for a moment and then it lost me.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were both watching a lot of soccer in the early to mid 2010s. Both kind of fell out a little bit. I'm not sure why I did, but I know you did.
I think I've told you this before. As you get older, you stop making time for things that you just eventually just get too much. There's just so many of these things you can do. Me and Studio Wife were talking about this about TV shows. I think there's too many shows now.
I mean, it's very saturated. There's a lot of shows that keep popping up, and now we have access to all the shows internationally. I mean, I was just watching a Danish show a few weeks ago. It was good, but I mean, like, I kind of want to finish Euphoria. I kind of want to finish Your Friends and Neighbors.
Yeah,
and it's like my entire free time is dedicated to just that.
And that's how sports becomes too. It's just you can only take so much, in my opinion. I mean, even for me, even hockey and baseball, I still watch most of it through box scores. You know, with hockey, I'll throw it on my phone because hockey actually looks really good on a 4K phone. The size, it works, everything. So I'll throw it on my phone all the time and just kind of have it there. But even then, I'm watching movies or TV, playing video games, and then I'll look down and go, oh, crap, Stars just scored 2 goals. Where'd that come from? Baseball, mainly through box score. Basketball, mainly through box score. Soccer, I did that for a while. And then, honestly, the U.S. men's team is just so tragically average. And FC Dallas, is so tragically crappy in MLS. It's just not fun to watch for me as a fan.
Yeah, no, I get it. So that's probably where you lost your.
And MLS in of itself, even with Messi, in of itself is just not fun to watch as a league if your team is not doing good. I ain't getting at 10 o'clock. I'm not turning over to the Galaxy in Colorado Rapids for any damn reason.
Yeah, same here. I'm gonna say Spain. Initially, when we were talking about this, I was thinking France because they got Dembele and they got Mbappe, 2 elite strikers.
They made up names.
Yeah.
It's like a duo in the 90s. Mbappe, here we go.
Dembele helped PSG win back-to-back Champions Leagues. One of the better players right now. But yeah, I really think France will be up there again. They won the championship in 2018. They made it to the finals in 2022. I'm going to go with Spain because it reminds me of 2010, where they have a bunch of young guys coming up at the same time.
Yeah.
They have stars, but they're not like household names right now. But after they win the World Cup, they're all going to be pretty big stars.
Give me Portugal.
I would love it. That would Ronaldo get it finally at 41 years old. Finally getting that.
Got his, I would love Ronaldo to get his.
Yeah. He can still kick the ball with the best of them. This is definitely his last World Cup.
Saudi Arabia, isn't he still?
Yeah, Al Nassr. Yeah.
Speaking of Gary, we're gonna have a video about this one day. But Gary brings up a good point. The Middle East sports washing is a real force, mainly Saudi Arabia. For the most part, and Qatar too. And the sad thing is Qatar, how many people died putting that World Cup together and stuff. And look, injuries happen and all. And that's one of the reasons why I still believe there is a world, especially with how lethargic people are with the Olympics and the World Cup right now. I think a lot of that with the World Cup right now is political stage. But I see a day, especially with the Olympics, where the United States just hosts the Olympics every year. Because they're the only nation that always has the infrastructure to do everything at every time. They don't have to build a ton of different stuff. Like, it's legendary. You go to all the countries after 4 years after their Olympics, like Brazil, even England, even Japan, where all these multi-million-dollar places were basically built for 90 days.
Yeah,
and then they just
won the World Cup, but it was the Olympics, Greece.
Yes.
That was awful because they were the OG, right? You know.
Well, they were in a financial collapse at that time too.
That was pretty sad.
So, do you think? I do think that it's funny because the United States they're legitimately and probably I've done some research. They're legitimately and probably the most balanced group, which that sucks because this is what the U.S. is always going to do, and this is why the U.S. is never going to be more than what they are. They're going to either draw or lose a game they shouldn't. Then they're going to draw a game they shouldn't. They should lose, but they're going to draw. And then they'll either win or lose that last game to get in or go on. But once they get into the knockabouts, maybe a game if they're lucky. And if you'd have told me in 2014 that in 2026, when the United States is a part, host of this, I would have said that might be the year the United States finally breaks through and at least gets to the semifinals. Maybe even the finals. And this is another reason why I gave up. They just spin their wheels in the sand with the U.S. men's team. Like, they'll make a big hire, but then they won't support what he wants to do. And then they'll go with what's his name? The guy, the boring guy who they're just average. And now I don't even know anything about their coach now. I guess he's kind of, some love him, some don't. But they just don't seem inspired.
I think they still make it to the knockout just because they'll be in a favorable group. The bracket's been expanded to 48 for the first time, so there's a lot more teams in this tournament. So I think the U.S. will probably make it to the knockout round. I have no feel for this team. I know they have some talent, but I don't. I think their ceiling in 2026 is the knockout stage.
Speaking of, as Gary says, they need Ted Lasso. That's a show I don't care to watch that they're bringing back.
I didn't know they're bringing it back.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's been a big
because I saw the end of season 3 and I was like, that was a good conclusion.
No, they've already got the trailer cut. You don't know about this?
No, I don't know.
I would play it, but we get copyright strike. Yeah, so Ted Lasso. So when they first announced he was coming back, I did think it was interesting because he said, Jason Sudeikis, the guy that played, said, I would like to bring him back and maybe have him coach football or something, like that. No, they're just having him coach that group's girls team, women's team. That's it. That's all it is.
That sounds pretty stupid. Okay. Well, maybe. The
trailer was fine, but it's uninspiring because it's just all the same cast. It's not like this was 10 years ago when they left. It was 2 years ago.
I like the original cast. A lot of people have emotional attachments to that cast, so I could see it working, but I'll watch an episode.
Oh, I will too. I actually, Studio Life's never finished it. We need to finish it. But and I like the idea. I just thought it would have been them just going right back to the same people, the same cast all around. It's just now he's on the women's side. I just thought that was a cop-out. When it would have been really fun if you bring key members like him and Coach, his buddy. And then you could have old cast members come over and visit or things like that. Bring in Roy to talk about and inspiring the team before a big game. Things like that. But to just basically go, oh, no, we're just going to put him on the women's side. And you're going to get all the same style of characters. You're going to get the wily veteran that about ready to retire. You're going to get the young wonderkin who's cocky. It's the same beats. And that's the thing that's sad.
Oh, well, Well, let's just give it a try. Let's watch the first episode. It might actually be good. Who knows?
Speaking of loved and hated, I don't feel this way, and I know I'm a Steelers fan. You should feel this way. The Golden Knights, considered the team most hated in the NHL because of some of the things they do. Well, also they have a goalie that's in goal that was part of a really big sexual investigation. We can like it or not, but they were exonerated. But then the way they do their contracts, and they've literally had to create the Golden Knights rule where they would basically tell a veteran, hey, you're hurt for half the year. Go sit on the bench and we can use your salary. And then you could bring him back for the playoffs, and it didn't count. They changed that now.
Well, and they hired the most asshole head coach in John Tortorella.
Yeah, but he's loved and hated. The old guard hockey love him.
He closed out that regular season on a hot note. They've been steamrolling through the playoffs. They, for some reason, play better against the better teams in the playoffs because they kind of struggled in the first 2 rounds against the lesser opponents, but they destroyed the Avalanche. They beat Carolina in game 1. So it's kind of an interesting team this season.
No, I agree. And I don't care. Once the stars are out, I mean, I like to watch the finals, but I will say this. I feel that one of the most overrated things in sports, and I'm not saying it's bad. Remember, folks, overrated doesn't mean bad. I just think it gets pumped up too much, is the hockey end of series handshakes.
It's like sportsmanship, sign of respect.
No, it's fine. But everybody makes, all it is the guys shaking, tap on the shoulder. We're going to get them, babe. I'll see you on the golf course in a month, JB. And then goes the next guy. Shake his hand. Other hand, pat on the shoulder. Hey, way to go, nibba, nibba. You got me there. You know, it's not, I mean, it's fine, but people act like, okay, now we go to this. I can remember ESPN used to do that when they had hockey night and stuff, and they into the playoffs. Like, they would be caught, it'd be the Yankees and the Rangers on Tuesday Night Baseball. Oh, wait, Sabres and, the Hawks have finished their game. Let's go to the line, the end of the series handshake. Okay, why? Like, why do I have any reference for it? Speaking of, Claude Lemieux passed away. A legend. He was one of the most loved, hated type of guys. And in hockey, that usually means you're a great hockey player. After his career, by the way, people forget a Dallas Stars for a hot moment. Mm-hmm. But off the ice, he was generally considered a good dude. One of the most famous handshake lines was, and this is back when I did watch hockey even out with the Stars, because back then it was Detroit versus Dallas, Dallas versus Colorado, Colorado versus Detroit. That was must-see TV. And famously, Chris Draper gets his jaw broke, gets just nailed by Claude Lemieux, dirty hit. He has to wear like a iron, shut. And the famous thing is, after they had lost to Colorado, he shook Claude Lemieux's hand, and Chris Draper famously said, "I can't believe I shook his hand," but he said it in ways I don't want to get copyright. But that was a fun line. But anyway, we tip our hat, and pour your shot to Claude Lemieux.
Keep your drink in your hand, because we got to do another shot for Rick Adelman.
Well, I have to go over there and pull up his.
To go back to the NBA realm, former NBA coach Rick Adelman sadly passed away. I think this week at 79 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
79 years old. One of those guys. It's so funny because certain people, whether they played or coach, you think of them when you think of that team. And for me, the Portland Trail Blazers, I always think of him first. But he actually coached longer, and probably I don't want to say have more success, because he made a finals with the Trailblazers. But I think a lot more younger people know him as the Sacramento Kings head coach back when them and the Mavericks. Holy crap, that was must-watch TV in the playoffs. And of course, them and the Lakers, and famously the fourth quarter. Look, I wasn't a Laker fan at that time, because I was a Maverick. I transitioned to the Maverick fan. My pronouns are Mavs and Dallas. But I still kind of rooted for the Lakers when they weren't playing the Mavericks. But even I, in that fourth quarter of that Game 7 final, was like, wow, Sacramento's getting screwed here.
Yeah, that was with the Chris Webber and Vlade Divac, Peja Stojakovic. That was such a great trio, and they should have at least won one championship. That was such a good team. But Webber getting hurt, I think it was in the Mavericks series he got hurt.
Yeah,
that kind of ended that
game.
So for me, like you think of Portland in the late 80s, early 90s, I think of Sacramento when I think of Rick Adelman in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's my memory of Rick Adelman, but I know he's had a storied career. He'll be missed. Great offensive-minded head coach. Yeah, it was just sad. Like he was still young. He was only 79. So yeah, cheers to him, man.
And people forget in 08, he took Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming, and they blew through the playoffs as like the 5th seed. McGrady gets hurt. They take the Lakers again to Game 7, even though they had lost Yao Ming in Game 3. That Rocket team is a what if they didn't get hurt.
Yeah, because they had a history in the 2000s of just getting to the first round and not getting past it. So it was kind of nice to see them actually do it pretty well under Adelman.
You know, that's a team in the Rockets that you feel like they have way more championships than they really do because they're always around. I mean, they of course have bad stretches, but I mean, in the 80s, they made 2 finals. Unfortunately for them, both times they went up against the Celtics. Then in the 90s, they win 2. And then since then, I mean, you had, again, talking about the 08 team, losing McGrady and Yao Ming, the Chris Paul injury, when it was like they were really about to be on the cusp of going through the finals and probably winning the finals. And so, yeah, it's just, that's one of those.
I was just about to bring that one up because that was probably, like, you know, Dirk Nowitzki in the 2011 Mavericks. That was probably the best constructed team for a superstar of his caliber. I think the 2018 Rockets, James Harden, Clint Capella at center, Chris Paul as the point guard. I think that was the best constructed team for a star like James Harden.
Yep.
And if Paul didn't get hurt in Game 7, Houston would have won that game, and Houston would have won the championship. Because I think they would have played the Cavaliers, and that was not a strong Cavalier team.
No, it wasn't. All right. Anything else?
I think we covered everything. A lot of French Open upsets. I think the French Open's going on for tennis, and there's been a lot of upsets on the men's and women's side. But outside of that, yeah, that's all I had.
Did you ever get into Grand Slam as a kid?
Yeah, just because of the stars. I mean, you had Agassi, Sampras, Monica Seles, Steffi Graf. There was a lot of star caliber tennis players, so I did pay attention to it.
I only paid attention to Wimbledon, and the main reason is back then. Let me see what the dates are now. I think they're kind of around the same time. Yeah, June 20. Yeah, about the same time. So back then, that was right in the 80s. Like, I'm home for the summer. Again, you got to remember, I didn't, at this time, like in the 80s, I don't think we got cable until like 90 or 91. So you only had 3 or 4 channels, and now NBC was showing Wimbledon all day. Or they would show, they'd show the group morning games, matches, and then they take like a 2-hour break and they show the afternoon matches. And it was fun to watch that. I always watched that. The others always kept up. I knew who Andre said, the U.S. Open was always kind of fun to watch in August because they're playing in New York on the hard court and it's like 200 degrees. Australian Open always happened like at 4 in the morning, so I never watched or paid attention. And then I never liked clay tennis. Like, to me, that's just the surface matters too much in clay tennis than it should, in my opinion. I do want to talk about softball. Once again, Texas Tech versus Texas. Texas won last night in Game 1. I think we did a show last year in Game 2 when Texas Tech lost because I think we were actually doing the show during the game as Texas Tech ended up winning that game. College baseball super regionals, that's going to be fun. So many upsets. UCLA, which was considered a super team, went wire to wire as the number 1 team. They get beat in the regionals. One of the more shocking upsets in baseball. So that's setting the stage. I guess that's it, man.
I think that is it. And I can't believe we almost got 2 hours out of this.
Yeah, again, but hey, sometimes it's fun just to have these type of shows.
Yeah.
All right. Again, I do want to thank our new sponsor. Whoop. Hang on. Let me get that pulled up. Hang on. There we go. Everlift garage door repair and installation, bilingual. All you got to do is go to the website, everliftgaragerepair.com, or you can give them a call, 469-209-1863, 24/7 emergency service, same-day appointments, free estimates, again, bilingual. This is a family-owned and operated company. They're licensed, they're insured, they're bonded. They will take care of you if you have a garage door issue. Again, he didn't even tell me about this. This is how humble this guy is. This is one of the things you think you would lead with. They have a seniors-only special right now, normally $129. He will come out. He will do a hardware inspection. He will swap out rollers. And if you don't know what rollers are, that's what the garage goes on, is a little roll. And they give out all the time. Then he will take care of lubrication and tightening. Shut up, Noe. Honest, no pressure advice. He's there to help you. So again, check him out, Johnny. EverliftGarageRepair.com. We'll have I'm putting together the commercial. If I had to go over to the grandkids, they probably would have finished it. I'm putting a nice little commercial that we'll start running next time. All right. Until then. You want to say something?
Intern Noe, the pro, the commissioner.
And one-time champion of OutDrank The Coverage Fantasy Football League. Not 2 times, not twice in 1 year.
Wait until what happens this year.
Intern Noe, the pros, like the 2011 Mavericks. It was a great run, but nobody will remember it. Until next time, he's Intern Noe, the pro. I'm Terry, the host. This is OutDrank The Coverage. Oh, by the way, real quick, email us, ODTC and network at gmail.com.